with Rabbi's permission, and actually, it's very difficult here. We have the Mashadi history experts here, Mr. Behruz Hakimian, Iranian, Mr. Jack Sabzevari, so I really feel humbled in front of them. I hope I don't make too many mistakes. The subject I'm talking about today is about a very sad part of history that happened about 18 years after Al-Dadi. And for some reason, a lot of people don't know about it. It's a very dramatic subject. So we all basically know Al-Dadi happened in 1839. That's when we were forced to convert to Islam and pretend we are Muslims. And this event happened in around 1856, 1857, about 17 to 18 years after that. The very quick story is a lot of Jews from Mashhad started to move to other cities, especially to Herat, Afghanistan. And there were already 20 Mashhadi families there from before. So they had some links. About 200 Mashhadi families within a year or two, they had to pay bribes to the rulers of the city to be able to leave. So if they could pay bribes, they went and they settled there. The rulers of Herat were Sunnis as opposed to Shiites who were in Mashhad, and altogether they were better to Jews. They have less restrictions. So this community started to thrive. They had very good business there. They were living a good life. There were a lot of back and forth fights between the Iranian army and the army who had Herat, Afghanistan. And in 1856, about 17 years later after this, the Iranian army surrounded Herat, and for a lot of reasons they thought that the Jews are on the side of the British and of the Afghans who reported them. Anyway, they rounded up these Jews and said, you are the guys who were supposed to be Muslims and you're practicing Judaism. We're going to bring you back to Mashhad unless you become Muslims. So they rounded up in a place in Herat. Within 2 days, they got as many people as they could, and it was winter time. They took them on foot back towards Mashhad. Now, just to get an idea, this is a map of Iran. This is Mashhad here. This is Herat. It's about 255 miles. And they had to walk from Herat to Mashhad, old people, poor people, walking. And it was a very, very harsh situation, winter. This actually, I looked up, the place that's mentioned that they were rounded up is called Musalla. I found a place called Musalla in Herat. This could be a different place, but everything that's mentioned actually exists today. So we can verify that this is a true story. There is a person called Mehran Bassali who wrote this. This document exists. He was one of the people who was imprisoned there. They were taken to Mashhad. They were imprisoned in a place in a caravanserai called Ghodrat for 2 years. A lot of people died. They had to go through a lot until they were freed 2 years later. And the story is, they took them to this place called Baba Ghodrat. Baba Ghodrat was an old abandoned caravanserai. Caravanserai is a place where people used to travel, and they would come with their donkeys or mules or camels. It was a place like this. This is another caravanserai, not the same one, but they all look similar to this, with long walls, an open area for the animals, and some areas inside with a ceiling so people could sleep there. So there was an abandoned caravanserai near Mashhad called Baba Ghodrat. This is a picture of actual Baba Ghodrat. This is like 10-15 years ago. It's renovated today. This is before renovation, so it still existed. This place still existed in Mashhad. It was outside of the city. Now it is inside of city. It actually had turned out to a very nice hangout place like South Street Seaport or something with restaurants. It exists today, but nowhere in the non-Jewish history this account is mentioned. If somebody takes the time to go on Wikipedia, we might be able to add the story of Jews to this. So this Mehran Bassali, I'm going to read very quickly to you part of what he wrote here. He says, in Sukkot of 1856, the Sayefha, that's the Shiite Muslims, captured Herat for our numerous sins, ba'avonotenu harabbim. they ruled that the Jews should be rounded up in Musalla, Sedom of Musalla. It was so harsh they called it Sedom. And we started to move towards Mashhad. Heaven and earth was stuck together from cold and frozen weather. Tens of old and weak died the first few days. It was like Nebuchadnezzar and Adriano's times leaving Jerusalem, and they rounded up on the four corners of Machane Israel. After 20 days, we arrived in Baba Ghodrat. We were imprisoned there for 2 years. They told us to become Muslim or rot here. We kept our religion. After 2 years, with a strong heart, Beyad Chazaka, we returned to Herat, and we are waiting until Mashiach comes and we go to Jerusalem. This is part of what he wrote. Wow. So just to tell quickly, I think my time is almost up. These people were rounded up. It was, as you say, it was a very harsh situation. Some of the people were able to live under the ceiling parts of these places. The rest were in the open area, and for winter, summertime, they were under the elements. They had to dig the ground with hand to make some type of shelter for themselves under the ground. It was very harsh. And the Jews of Mashhad also were very hard situation then. They had to pretend they are Muslims, but they heard about their relatives who have been imprisoned, and they are in this place a few kilometers away. So they made about 20 young people volunteer. They went at night, they took packets of food and clothing with them, and they threw over the wall. And they sent back their letters. Next time they asked for digging equipment so they can dig. They used to send them support this way, and they had to go at night. If the authorities found them, they would kill them. And then they started writing to the Jews in Tehran. A delegation of Mashhadi Jews, it was very difficult. They went to Tehran. They ended up talking to the king, to Nasser ad-Din Shah. And they wrote to the Jews in London, who put pressure. Finally, after 2 years, the king said you should free them. But still, the ruler of Mashhad wanted money. They had to give him a very big bribe. So they didn't have enough money. People gathered together. One of the rich people said, oh, what do you need our money for? I'll triple my donation. Everybody else gave the donation higher so they can pay this bribe also. And these people were finally freed after a lot of people had suffered and died. And most of them went back to Herat. So today also the Jews of Herat, if you see them, they are our family, they are our cousins. A lot of them have similar last names to us. The important thing is a few of these people stayed in Mashhad. And this was a turning point in our history, because these people were very religious and they had gone through hardship. The Jews in Mashhad, already a lot of people were giving up. There were two camps. One camp were religious, some were saying let it go, and a lot were in between. So there was only one kanisa underground, and they were trying to survive and keep the religion, but it was very difficult. When this influx of these new people who had gone through so much and had so much emunah joined them, soon the one kanisa became 4 kanisas.
Wow.
And started to become more. So the religious camp became more active and more influential. And that was a turning point. You know, putting all the suffering aside, it had this other effect on the side, which made our history keep our Judaism. Actually, one of the people who came from here, he probably was very young. His father is called Mullah Amin Basar, and Mullah Yusuf Basal was one of the mullahs who was instrumental in having Talmud Torah classes and keeping Judaism alive. He happened to be my great-grandfather, my father's father's father, who came from Baba Ghodrat and helped with this transition. So there is a lot more detail on this. We don't have time. Anybody is interested, you can ask the experts or look up yourself.